Okay, YouTubers, today we are going to do a 4-tire rotation. Only 4 tires, okay? The reason why I'm not going to do the spare tires because my spare tires are bald and I'm not going to put it into rotation. That'd just be silly. So let's do a 4-tire rotation, and I do the 4-tire rotation every other oil change in order to get my treads to wear evenly. And to be able to do this, you're going to need 4 jack stands, okay? The jack stands that I normally use for an SUV, I always use a 6-ton, and these are a lot higher than your normal 3-ton jack stands, so you're going to need about 4 of them, okay? I got 4 of them right there. You're going to need a 21 millimeter socket. You're going to need a torque wrench that's going to go up to 85 foot-pounds, okay? You're going to need an impact gun. Don't do this with a regular wrench or a hand ratchet. Please go invest in a impact gun. If you can't afford it, then I don't know, just go back to college and get yourself a good job so you can afford one. Okay, they're not that expensive. Well, not for me at least. So let's go ahead and check it out. One more thing that you're going to need is you're going to need your lock key, because every single one is going to have a lock key right there. See, you're going to need your lock key. And where is that lock key? Your lock key is in the back of the car right here where your door is. Just open up your door and let's check out where your lock keys are. You're going to have 2 separate panels right there, okay? It's going to be in this panel, guys. Just open it up. Let's check it out. Let's just take the whole damn thing out here, guys. And there it is right there, okay? Oh, son of a bitch. There's your lock key. Every car's got one. And it does take a 21 millimeter also. Let's go ahead and close your door. Okay, if you take a look on the other side of my car, I already got my jack stands ready to go at each corner of the tires. Okay, I got my floor jacks ready to go. I got something to put my knees on. I'm going to go ahead and put my lock socket right where my tools are, and most likely I'm going to start with 1 tire first, unless I grew 8 arms out of nowhere. So let's put this all at 1 tire ready to go. Okay, so first things first, you know how I got all my jack stands ready to go at each corner. This is to make the job more efficient, okay, instead of just going back and forth all the time. Okay, the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go to my front of the car. I'm going to look at a lift point. And the best lift point that I always use, if you go right underneath your car, just follow me now, guys, just follow me. Here, you are going to have this center plate, okay? The center plate is going to have some huge circle right there. It's going to have a huge circle right in the middle of this front metal plate, and no other holes has that bevel right here. So I'm going to put my floor jack right directly underneath there, and I'm going to jack it up right there, because that's where your cross beams is, where your engine is, okay? That's a really heavy support beam right there. Let's go ahead and jack it up. Okay, guys, this is how high I lifted up the car with my floor jacks, okay? I lifted up all the way, and I wanted a pretty good gap right here, about, I'm going to say about 5 to 6 inches. The only reason why is because once I release the floor jacks, my whole entire car is going to drop on my jack stand. And you see that gap right there? That gap right there is something that I'm going to need, because once I lift up my car, I'm going to want to be able to take my floor jacks back out, my jack stands back out, okay? So I lifted it all the way about 5 to 6 inches off the ground. Let's go ahead and release it. Oh, actually, let me show you exactly where I put it. Okay, you see these metal cross beams right here? And you see the support beam that goes from the front to the rear of the car? I put it right here at this intersection, and I put it completely centered right there. You should have pretty good support right there. Same thing with the other side. If you look at the other side, I put it exactly parallel to the other side right there. Let's go ahead and release the car and see where it falls. Go really slowly. You want to make sure that the car lays on top of the jack stands evenly and it hasn't shifted on you. You see how I released the whole entire floor jack? After releasing the whole entire floor jack, you want your tires to be still off the ground in order to take off your tires. Let's go ahead and take a look at the jack stands. Jack stands are on the support beams. Good. Looking at the other side, jack stands are on the support beams. My tires are off the ground. See that? Okay, let's go ahead and do the rear now. At the rear of the car, I want to be able to put the floor jacks directly underneath my differential. See that? But do not place it where that drain bolt bevel is. I put it right to the left of it in the center, where when I do lift up, it's not going to touch my drain bolt bevel. Okay, so let's go ahead and jack this up. God damn, this thing needs oil. You see at this point, you see how my tires are already off the ground, but I have to remember that when I drop my car, it's going to drop on the jack stands, and it might get rid of that clearance. So you want to jack it up as high as you can and then drop it on your jack stands. Okay, after I finished raising the car as high as I can go, I went ahead and put my jack stands right underneath my differential cross beams right there, right underneath the cross beams of the differential right there on both sides. A lot of people would put the jack stands on the side of the car where the running boards are, where those are right over there. Not me. I like this type of support right here. A lot of GX owners will actually use this support. So let's go ahead and lower the car. You see the clearance I have right there? Once I lower the car, the tire should be still off the ground. I do not want to release the floor jacks all the way because I'm going to have to lift it back up, so it'll save me a lot of work by just keeping it in this position. So now all 4 tires should be off the ground. Okay, once you got all 4 tires off the ground, you're going to want to go get your impact gun, your 21mm socket. Okay, go ahead and test it. Make sure it's going counterclockwise. Once it goes counterclockwise, you're good to go. Okay, what I normally like to do is I like to break my lock nut first. Do it manually. Don't use your impact gun to do this. Go ahead and try to find where it locks up. Once you find out where it locks up, go ahead and loosen it. Don't take it all the way out because you don't want this thing to drop on your foot. Oh, and by the way, you might want to wear some good shoes or some steel-toed shoes. And if you can't afford them, go get some really nice sandals. All right. Okay, loosen it, but do not remove. Okay, they're all about halfway and they're still stuck in there, okay? And if they do come out all the way, go ahead and put it back in there. Once you loosen them all up, you can go ahead and remove the rest. What I normally like to do with all my leftover lug nuts is I put it on my running board right here. Set everything on your running board. It's not going to go anywhere. It's got creases right here. On your very last one, you want to kind of do it by hand because this thing's going to drop on your foot, okay? With one hand, you'll hold on to your tire. With the other hand, you could go ahead and loosen up the last lug nut. If the last lug nut's a little too tight, you go ahead and grab your socket and spin it out by hand. Remember to hold on to your rim or else it's going to fall on your foot. There you go. So once it's all loose, go ahead and grab both hands. Just remember, this is not light. You're going to want to keep your foot out of the way and pull it off. Once you got all 4 tires off, you can go ahead and start rotating them. And this is how you do a 4-tire rotation. Just remember My tires are non-directional. Non-directional means there's no arrows on the tires that tell me what the direction the tire should be put on. So these are very universal tires. Okay, just make sure, just go along your tire, make sure there's no arrows pointing in any direction. And if there aren't, then you could do a universal tire rotation. And I'll show you how right now. Okay, remember, non-directional tires, there's no arrow, so I could put these tires anywhere I want and it won't affect the ride quality or the wear of it. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to stand back to show you. I'm going to take the rear tires on the right side and bring it up. I'm going to take my front right tire and bring it to the rear driver's side. Now I'm on the driver's side of the car. I'm going to take the rear tires and bring it up to the front. I'm going to take the front driver side tires, I'm going to bring it to the rear passenger side. After I manually did my tire positioning by rotating where they should be, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the tires, okay? This is my passenger front. I'm going to go ahead and take this heavy son of a bitch and just keep in mind where these pins are, okay? So you can line them up where the holes are, so it's less work for you when you bring them up. I'm going to go ahead and take both hands, use my knees. There you go. Bring it up. Okay. Just bear in mind that when you put it in, they're not line centered. Okay, you're going to have to center them. You're going to have to move them until they're like totally centered in the hole, just so the lug nuts can go in correctly. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take all my lug nuts that are on my running board. They're all right here. I'm going to go ahead and take the first one, push it in, and go ahead and try to center them. Okay, go ahead and try to center them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my impact gun and put it on the lightest setting, which is number 1. Okay, the lightest setting, make sure it's going clockwise. See, when it's on this lightest setting, it goes really slow. What I want to do is go really slow, just so it centers the hole. The lug nuts, bevel on the lug nuts helps this get centered for you, okay? Okay, so once I slowly put those in and the lug nuts help me center the holes, if you take a look right now, all the remaining holes are already centered for me. See that? It makes life a lot easier when I put in the rest of the lug nuts. So let's go ahead and do that. Now that they're all centered, I can go ahead and put all of them in by hand. Okay. And when I tighten them in, what I'm going to want to do, make sure you put in a few threads, okay? Don't just put in one thread, guys. Put in a few threads just so you don't cross thread them by accident. I like to go in quite a few threads just to be sure. Once I got them in, I can go ahead and put it onto the highest setting and go slow. Okay, go really slow and go in a star formation. Star formation means start at one point and then do your star right here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, okay, and then you could do your last one. Go in the star formation, just so they go in evenly, and then you could do the last one, okay? Go in really slow. In the star formation. Okay. Okay, the last one is my lock nut. I'm going to go grab my lock nut really quick. Once you get your lock nut, you're going to want to put it in by hand. Just screw it in by hand because you don't know if it fit right on the key yet. See how it locked into the key and it's all the way in? Now I want to go ahead and torque it in at its lightest setting. See how it's at its lightest setting? Okay, take out your lock nut. Now I'm going to want to go at the heaviest setting, okay? Make sure it's in clockwise. It's rotating clockwise. Go in the star formation again, the same way you put it on. Go ahead and take your lock key, fit it in there, fit it in the slot, make sure it locks. Go ahead and torque it in. Okay. You don't want to torque it all the way in and get too crazy because you're going to have to torque these at 85 foot-pounds with your torque wrench, okay? But we're not going to torque it right now because the reason why is we have to put this on the ground first, okay? If you do it on the car, see how it's still spinning? So we're going to have to set this car on the ground. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of the 3 wheels on, and then we're going to lower the car. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and remove the jack stands in the same order that I installed them. So we're going to go ahead and do the rears first. After all the tires and wheels are already on, we're going to go ahead and jack up the rear using the differential right in the center of the differential and stay away from the drain bolt bevel. Go ahead and lift it up. You want to lift it up as high until your jack stands got clearance right there. Once it has clearance, you could go ahead and release your safety right there. Go ahead and remove them out of the way. Go ahead and do the same thing for the other side. When you guys remove your jack stand, make sure your jack stands are way out of the way, because once you drop your car and you find out that this was too close to your car, you never know. You're going to start squashing your mud flaps and your tires, and I don't know. If your dick is in the way, you might squash that too. Who knows? Okay, let's go ahead and release this. Okay guys, I went ahead and released it, but I didn't release it all the way. The reason being is because my tires aren't torqued yet, so they're not completely fully in, even though I kind of tighten them pretty hard. You want to keep at least some leeway and keep the car lifted at the point where you know your wheels will not spin, because you're going to have to torque them first, okay, before you drop them. Okay, before we torque them, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret that I usually use. Your floor jack's got this bar right here that has an extension. Let's go ahead and remove this screw. Okay, let's keep the screw where you can find it and remove the extension, because you're going to need this to torque, okay? So here's your extension. Let's take it with you to go torque your tires. Okay, I'm choosing my passenger side rear tires to go ahead and torque first. 85 foot-pounds. Okay. Normally I would stand on that side and I would push instead of pull, because that's the proper way of doing it. Make sure you got 85 foot-pounds, and the only reason why I'm doing it on this side is just so you guys can see what I'm doing, okay? I would normally put this at the end of a torque wrench and just pry it up, and I'm using this as leverage. You could use this to take off your tires if you don't have an impact wrench, okay? But I already went ahead and did this in advance. See how the torque wrench goes up to your tires? It's not giving you a lot of space to put your hand, so that's why you would normally use one of these. I'm going to show you that I already torqued them, okay, and I already did it with all these lug nuts, and you're going to have to do the rest of the tires, okay? 85 foot-pounds, okay? Make sure your tires are on the floor. Once you torque both sides, you can go ahead and drop the car. Then you're going to have to do the front. Okay, now I'm at the front of the vehicle, and this is the point that I was telling you about, the location of where I jack up. Right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and jack it up. Okay, so now we ran into a dilemma. Okay, now that it's gotten so high, you can also put a piece of 2x4 or a piece of wood right there in order for you to jack it up a little higher. I'm already at its max right now, as you can tell. Okay, the only reason is probably because I put the jack stands a little bit too high in the front. You didn't need to, so this is a lot of trial and error, and it also has to do with me buying the cheapest floor jacks you can find at Harbor Freight. Shame on me, but that's all I can afford. So you can also put a 2x4, like I said, or some kind of block, okay, to help you along. Okay, once you guys lift it up high enough where you got clearance off the jack stands right there, there's clearance right there and there's clearance on the other side, you can go ahead and remove the jack stands. Okay, at this point, remember how I told you when you guys lower your vehicle, you do not want to lower all the way. You just want to lower to the point where your tires won't turn anymore. So go ahead and lower your car. There you go. My tires hit the floor. Now I can go ahead and torque them. Now that your tires won't turn, you can go ahead and torque it 85 foot-pounds. I normally start at one point and I do the star method, okay? But if you notice, there's 6 lugs, so the star method's not gonna work. So I would normally do the star method and just do the last one after the last one, okay? So let's go ahead and do it 85 foot-pounds, okay? Here's the last one right over here, right next to it. Go ahead and do that 85 foot-pounds. I like to go back to the very first one just in case something shifted, and we're good. I'm going to go ahead and do the other tire and lower the car. Now that I've torqued all 4 wheels, I'm going to go ahead and lower the car. Take the floor jack out of the way. Right here, now I'm going to go to each tire and make sure nothing is out of place, okay? While you're doing this, you might want to check to see if anything fell underneath your car while you were working, sockets, wrenches. Okay, go through your entire car. Maybe you forgot one lug nut that was loose, that's highly visible. You just want to double check, okay? And after you're done, you're good to go. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.